everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 3-Count NXT edition. I'm War Machine MJ, the current reigning and defending 3-Count Mafia champion until WrestleMania Backlash is over with. I am also the Elite Count champion. Yeah, All Elite Count champion. That's more on brand. And I am also the WW3 champion. So, I'm here today to talk about NXT 2.0 and NXT UK. So, let's go ahead and kick this off. Well, before we kick it off, some pretty heavy news from the NXT world, as one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions, one half of MSK, Nash Carter. Nash Carter? I'm blanking on the name because I'm either because my brain is getting confused with the oh wait, the basketball player Steve Nash. Okay, or Nash Carter. Yes, that's the guy. He was released from his NXT contract. I believe it was Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. After allegations earlier in the week of well, some very unsavory issues levied against him, made by his wife Kimberly of Impact Wrestling. And with a photo that wasn't too bright of an idea. Not going to go into any details, but yeah, WWE has released him from his contract, and as of Friday, they announced that the NXT Tag Team Championships would be vacated and will be up for grabs this Tuesday, sorry, on NXT. As as far as this goes, my thoughts are, the accusations levied against him, it's two sides to every story, and like I said, I'm not going to go too deep into detail because it's a very touchy subject, and no need for me to recklessly speculate, but two sides to every story, and so far it's just her side. The other fact is, well, there was a picture of himself where he shaved his stash to be a Hitler stash, and proceeded to replicate certain Nazi gestures, which, yeah, that's not the smartest move in the world, you dumb fucking idiot. So, yeah. But what really has to be the worst of it is what's going to happen to Wes Lee, the other half of MSK. What's he going to do now that Nash Carter is gone? Of course, the two of them were part of the faction of the Rascals back in Impact with Trey Miguel. So Carter and Lee came in together in NXT. So who knows what they're going to do with him. And the weird thing was, and I was talking about this to Rodimus, was it's kind of weird that they kept the titles on them, or at least had them on the, didn't rectify anything with them on Tuesday's broadcast, when they were going to make the decision to release him. Yeah, hard to say who's going to be next in line for the tag team championships. The NXT tag team division is pretty much trash. With with their myriad of bridesmaids tag teams, it's just kind of trash. But we'll see how it plays out this Tuesday on NXT. So let's go ahead and kick the show off with Braun Breaker. Of course, Braun Breaker had regained the NXT Tag Team Championships the night of. Hang on, my brain's not firing on all cylinders right now. Hang on. Braun Breaker had regained his NXT Championship. Caught myself. The previous night on Raw over Dolph Ziggler, and he stepped out to make a big speech, and before he could really get into the meat and potatoes of his promo, he was then interrupted by I'm only going to call this man this. I'm only going to call him this name one time, this one episode, and then we're dismissing it for the rest of the continuity. He was then interrupted by Gunther of Imperium, who challenged Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship later on in the night. Of course, Braun accepted. And then, of course, the rest of Imperium, Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner, like I said, my brain's not firing on all cylinders, were then jumped by the Creed brothers. And before anything substantial could happen, they cut to commercial, and we came back to a match. It was a pretty alright match. Towards the stretch, when Eichner tagged out to Bartel, when they set up to do that double drop kick where Bartel does a drop kick on the inside while Eichner does a drop kick to the outside. Bartel hits the drop kick on the inside, and Eichner just kind of walks off, leaving Marcel Barthel all alone, and he eats the Creed brothers' finishing move. And while the Creed brothers are, celebrating their victory, they're jumped by their masked opposition that's been, haunting them for the past couple of weeks, when they are revealed to be former NXT UK Tag Team Champions, Pretty Deadly. Of course, they've been given new individual names, which I don't see why they need to do that when, God, I can't remember their previous names for. Yeah, I can't remember their previous names, but their previous names were good. I don't even know what their new names are. Anyway, yeah, and okay, all right. So Pretty Deadly's new names is Elton Prince and Kit Wilson. I don't know. I kind of like their old names better. Anyway, but yeah, during the Braun Breaker promo, it was kind of weird because the crowd was chanting, you know, they were chanting, "We want Ziggler," and "No, we don't," or yeah, okay, all right. Next, we had a promo from Cameron Grimes where he talked about finally winning gold in NXT. Not counting the $1 million belt because it's an outlaw belt, of course, but talking about how he finally fulfilled a promise to his pops who wasn't here anymore. When he was interrupted by the street champ of the Isles, Solo Sikoa. And Sikoa made a passing reference to the bloodline. Of course, he is related to the Usos. He looked like if the Usos did the fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z. Anyway, Solo Sikoa stepped up and respectfully demanded a challenge from Cameron Grimes, and Cameron Grimes accepted, and they shook hands. And also during this promo, the crowd was chanting, "You deserve it," and "No, you don't" to Cameron Grimes, which I don't get what's going on with this NXT 2.0 crowd. I really don't. Next, we had Dexter Lumis taking on Duke Hudson. Of course, they're wrapped up in a story where their respective partners, Indy Hartwell and Persia Parada, are trying to prove which couple is the hottest. I'm I'm so ready for this to be over with because it's outstayed its usefulness. There was a couple times where it had a couple of yucks to it, but now it's just like either put me out of my misery or end it. Anyway, th- this match was pretty. This match was pretty, generic until it got to the end, where both Loomis and Hudson were looking to, ram the other's shoulder into the ring post, and neither side was budging. So Indy and Persia helped their respective partners out, and it just, Indy and Persia, they slipped, leading to Duke and Loomis to, both collide into the ring post, and referee counted a double count out, which the ending the ending result led the crowd to chant "That was stupid," which that's the only crowd chant I agree with from Tuesday night. Anyway, next we had a rematch for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships as Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai took on Toxic Attractions, Gigi Dolan, and JC Jane. Um, this was an all right match. Down the stretch, Wendy Chu tried to get involved again, but Mandy Rose dispatched her, and then Toxic Attraction, chop blocked Raquel Gonzalez's knee, and while the referee was distracted, they chop blocked her while the ref was distracted, and then hit her with the Toxic Shock for the victory. Uh, yeah, Toxic Attraction picked up their titles, picked up the tag team titles again, and bright side is at least Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez had a much longer tag team title reign than their last, couple hour affair. Anyway, came back from commercial, and there's Dakota Kai rampaging through the back, basically putting Mandy Rose on notice. There was also a backstage segment where Tiffany Stratton complained that she lost another match thanks to Saray, which I'm over all of this. Like, first of all, I don't like Tiffany Stratton. She's doing the whole daddy's girl thing, and I hate it. Second, I'm not a big fan of the Saray stuff because it just I feel attacked, me being an anime fan. Because what they do, right? So they have Saray do this whole magic girl kind of thing where, she's, you know, cute schoolgirl, yeah, and then when it's go time, she transforms into a magic warrior, kind of like Sailor Moon. I don't like it because it feels just on the slightest bit of patronizing, you know. But I get it; they're grasping at straws, but not every straw is going to work properly. So next we had quite possibly something that could have been relegated to a pre-film segment, not really in ring, because the crowd just made it a whole lot worse. It was the coronate the Don coronation ceremony for Tony D'Angelo, hosted by AJ Galante of, well, I'm not exactly sure what he's from, but it was hard to keep up with what they were doing because the promo took so long and the crowd were just, were throwing Galante off, and the poor guy, he had enough troubles in the ring, and the crowd was making it extra worse. Uh, yeah, it just feels like somebody watched watched too many marathon The Godfather one too many times. After the ceremony, there was a parking lot segment between Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma and Tony D'Angelo, where Santos gave his props, showed his respect to New Don, but gave him a little bit of, you know, advice, jefe to jefe. Basically, he told D'Angelo to stay out of my business. So yeah, there was also a backstage promo from MSK where they talked about how the first time they won the tag team titles, they didn't really appreciate it. Now that they've gotten the belts again, they're going to learn to appreciate it more. Then they were interrupted by Grayson Waller and Sangha. And this basically turned into, hey, we're going to have a match next week. Grayson Waller and Sangha versus MSK. But that's just kind of been thrown out the window. Next, we had Nikita Lyons taking on Lash Legend. Um, this was a pretty good match, despite Lash Legend being a bit rougher in the ring as of late. They were pretty good. Nikita Lyons has been very impressive since her debut, and yeah, that's all I've got to say on Nikita Lyons, and nothing absolutely more. Anyway, Nikita Lyons got the victory with that split leg drop pin for the victory. Um, there was also a pre-taped promo where Kushida is uh, calling out Von Wagner for absolutely demolishing Ikemenjiro. So, yeah. And then finally, in the main event, it was Braun Breaker taking on, like I said it once, Walter der General. Well, before that, there was another Joe Gacy promo where he just kind of rambles. Um, this leads to, you know, this leads to a backstage segment with Zion Quinn and Draco Anthony, where, you know, Zion Quinn was, telling Draco Anthony, he's just like, hey, don't pay Joe Gacy any mind, and then Draco Anthony, for no reason at all, just gets pissed at Zion Quinn, and they, you know, they start getting in each other's faces. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway, next is Braun Breaker and Walter. And this was a pretty alright match. Braun Breaker got the victory, and of course, after he got the win, Rick Steiner was on the Titantron, giving Braun his props, and then it pans out. Turns out they put that dog-faced gremlin in a cage, and it's and it basically sets up Joe Gacy versus Braun Breaker next, because Gacy and Harlan are the ones that's got Rick Steiner in a cage. Put that dog face gremlin in a cage. So yeah. Um, Next, we move on to NXT UK, which is a far more superior brand than its American cousin, just in my opinion. Oh, by the way, the NXT 2.0 notes come courtesy of uh, Bleacher Report, while the NXT UK notes come from eWrestling News. So, oh, I kind of like this one. It puts it really short. Don't even have to do anything. Anyway, we kick the show off with Primate of Symbiosis taking on Wild Boar. Of course, the story is Wild Boar is pissed at Eddie Dennis and Symbiosis for leaving him by the wayside when his knee blew out. And Wild Boar's been looking to get revenge, tearing through uh, Tyson T-Bone and Primate to get his hands on Eddie Dennis. But yeah, Eddie Dennis cost Wild Boar the match. Afterwards, Symbiosis put Wild Boar in a collar and beat him until Mark Andrews made the save with a steel chair, because Mark Andrews and Wild Boar have a history together. Uh, Next was a early in the day segment where Sam Gradwell looking to mess with Kenny Williams some more after Kenny Williams cut off his mohawk. He was looking to mess with Kenny when he reaches into his bag and there were actually maggots in his bag. Not prop maggots. They were all wiggling and writhing. And that was a pretty nice touch. Disgusting, but a nice touch. Next was not pre a I can't get my words together. Was a cinematic promo from D Familia. Tailman, Rohit Raju, and Charlie Dempsey, which Charlie Dempsey is aces. Anyway, D Familia is talking about their upcoming matches. Of course, Tailman is going to be taking on A-Kid, while Charlie Dempsey, later on in this episode, is taking on Wolfgang. Dempsey said that, he's already tapped out. Dempsey's already. Dempsey said he tapped out Wolfgang once and doesn't have any problem doing it again. And then he warns Tailman. He's like, "Listen, A-Kid is nothing like you've faced before, so you can't take him lightly." And then he asks Tailman what the Evil Eye says, and Tailman says the Evil Eye sees victory, and they toast to the continued success of their faction. Next, there was a early in the day promo or segment between Jack Stars and Dave Mastiff and the Coffee Brothers of Gallus, where Mark where Jack Stars and Mastiff were being a little bit too loud with their reps for Joe Coffey's liking. He gets riled up, completely forgets he's spotting Mark, and you know, you know, Joe Coffey is starting to get the hothead after the Gallus boys have been on the back foot as of late. Speaking of the Gallus boys on the back foot, Charlie Dempsey beat Wolfgang with some shenanigans from D Familia. Of course, Wolfgang came out there riding solo, no Coffee Brothers in sight. Next was a segment where Meiko Satomura, the NXT UK Women's Champion without the championship, wishes to have a face-to-face with Isla Dawn, who absconded with her championship. Next is a segment from Zaya Brookside, who she's also doing the Daddy's Girl bit, but I kind of enjoy this one a little bit more. Anyway, Zaya Brookside introduces Eliza Alexander, who helped Zaya beat Amel last week, and she announces she's going to have a her debut match. Next up is a promo from Sid Scala's office where he sets up a 2 out of 3 falls match in 2 weeks for the NXT UK Championships between Mustache Mountain, Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, and Oliver Carter and Ashton Smith. Now this one comes about because Trent Seven's been doing a little bit of underhanded tactics as of late. In the NXT Tag Team Championship match against Smith and Carter, Ashton Smith gets his foot on the ropes while Trent Seven runs over and knocks him off, leading to the retain. Of course, Tyler Bate didn't see that. Then when Smith and Carter wanted to run that back, Mustache Mountain agreed to a couple of one-on-one matches where Tyler Bate took on Oliver Carter, which Oliver Carter won because Trent Seven kicked up a commotion with Ashton Smith on the outside, distracting Tyler Bate. Then Trent Seven versus Ashton Smith. Got to keep my people straight. Yes, Trent Seven beat Oliver Carter. At first, he tried to beat it. He tried to grab the ropes while he pinned, but Tyler Bate saw it. He let go. Smith reversed that into a roll-up of his own, which Trent Seven reversed into a roll-up of his own, and he grabbed the tights in view of Tyler Bate. So that's what led to this 2 out of 3 falls tag team match, which that's going to be a banger of a match. Love both of these teams. Next is a backstage segment where Wolfgang is upset with the rest of the Gallows firm for not having his back during the match. While Mark was more apologetic, Joe didn't look like he cared too much. So there's some tensions going on with the Gallows boys. Next week, they announced that Teoman will take on A-Kid, and the Coffee Brothers will fight Jack Stars and Dave Mastiff. And finally, in the main event for the NXT UK Championships, it is Ilya Dragunov, the NXT UK champion with the shitty theme, taking on the Diamond Mines Roderick Strong in a hard-hitting, brutal affair where they absolutely kicked the crap out of each other. Ilya got the victory with the Torpedo Moscow, and that was it. Just an absolute hard-hitting match. Yeah, it's fantastic. So that will do it for this episode of the 3 Count NXT edition. So that being said, I'm War Machine MJ, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bang.